Hello, you. Welcome to our regular weekly chat on the lovely virtual settee of YouTooSpain. Today, as the summer rush is left behind us, we'll have the latest updates for you about visas, especially the non-lucrative visas from the Spanish embassies in the UK. But of course, our expert guest and very good friend Chris from Upsticks.es will answer any questions about other visas and applications from elsewhere, and also anything to do with residency. And we'll talk about what happens at the embassies as they approach the next bottleneck time of the year, Christmas. Oh, yes, we have to start thinking about Christmas, because any of you applying soon or thinking about it will have the Christmas break to deal with. So we'll find out from Chris what that entails. If you've slept in and you're watching the recording of the show afterwards, you can find the time codes and chapter headings for each of the chapter headings, for each of the answers rather, that you need here, and also in the video description below. If you don't know what I mean by the video description, look at the little title of the video, which is along here underneath the video, and at the end it says ... read more. Click on that, on those two words, and you'll find all of the links that I keep talking about. So come on, gather round. It's time for the cosmic theme tune. Here we go. Let's dance. Oh yes, thanks again to the groovy wizard Lee Spreadbury for our cosmic theme tune. Check out the link below in the video description to his funky YouTube site. Now, before I bring in my guest, as usual, 3 quick pieces of information. You can thank us. Yes, you can support us for the oh so helpful things you learned today by using one of the 2 links in the video description below. With one, you can buymeacoffee.com. The other, you can make a regular donation through Patreon and get access to lots more services and behind the scenes videos. Oh yes. Number 2, you can also find loads of information, articles and links on our website, YouTooSpain.com. Join the mailing list on there and I'll write to you every month as well. And last but not least, of course, we have that whole list of links down below. If you click on any of those, not only will you get great discounts on things that you need, an excellent service from our partners and providers, but also you'll be supporting YouTooSpain. For example, everybody needs exchange in currency exchange. I'll do that the right way around. Everybody needs it at some point, and I'd like you to get the best service, the best advice, and hold on to the best exchange rate to maximize your spending power and safeguard yourself against the sort of huge currency fluctuations. Put your teeth in, Skatz. And use the smart currency exchange link below to get the free account, free advisor, access to an app and a whole range of services that they do that you don't always get with other companies. Don't leave it till the last minute. Click on that link today. As I always say, it's a win-win, win-win, win-win. And they are lovely people just like you. So without further ado, let's meet our wonderful guest. It's our mate Chris from Upsticks.es. Hola, Chris.
Hola, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Yes, very well, very good. I feel a lot better than I did last Saturday morning, I have to say.
yes. We both got a little tipsy, didn't we, at the festival?
It was nice to socialise. It's not always work, is it? So
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It
was your first proper music festival.
It was brilliant. I tried to cram in 44 years of not going to a music festival into one though, but yeah, we definitely enjoyed it. Myself and Lara had a really good time. It was we're professional now.
Of course, and happy birthday, by the way, for was it yesterday or the day before?
Thursday, thanks.
Thursday. Yeah. So let's say good morning to Corinne May, John Bentley, Bev, Andy Cooper, Gary Ash, Matt David and Glyn James. Hello, you're all on the chat. And Andy Cooper says, looking forward to seeing you, Chris, at a place in the sun next Friday. Yes, you're at a place in the sun next Friday, and then the one after, the weekend after, you're at the caravan show, is it?
Yeah, so we've got it's got quite a busy tour as such at the moment. Yeah, so I'll see Andy there. I'll be there on Friday. So we're doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday in a place in the sun. Just on Friday, I'll be there on my own, and then on the Saturday, Sunday, Jessica, who works with us in Lanzarote, she's going to be joining me. Mm-hmm. And from there, go to Peterborough, where I'm from originally. We've got to go up to London, hopefully duck into the consulate. I've got to meet a few clients that way. and then back up to Stafford, and a Caravans in the Sun have a showground there, and they always have an annual weekend, and we work a lot with them, so we're going to have a stand there and speak to their guys as well on the Saturday and the Sunday, then fly back on the Sunday evening. So yeah, busy time.
Excellent, busy time. UK tour.
UK tour. So I've got to go to Milton Keynes as well. So it's going to be a busy tour.
Yeah. Do you have any shout outs from your website?
I do, yeah, actually, because I did actually write notes. You're getting very impressed with my notes now, aren't you? This is the second show in a row I've written notes. I want to say hello to Kevin and Elaine, who we owe a prize to. I spoke to them the other day, and we owe a prize to. So I've got to get that sorted out. If they haven't sent, Kevin, if you haven't sent me your address yet, just drop it to us at support@upsticks.es. And there's another guy, Terry, who had his appointment in London this week, and he watches the show, and he's done so well with his documents. And just to congratulate him, they actually got him in. We're still going to wait out now, for the visa to come, but he's done well with that. And then there's also some, because we're finally getting to meet people. A lot of the time I don't get to meet people because they can't come to the office before with the pandemic and stuff. And then when they go to their appointment, it's one of the guys who meets them. So I don't see people, but I met the White House family this week, who, in fact, I always look scruffy. I'm really sorry I didn't have a shave, Michael. I will do tomorrow, I promise.
Has he been telling you look scruffy then?
Yeah, generally my wife does as well. She said, you I said, well, she'd wear a shirt. I know it's a shirt. But yeah, so it was like, yeah, so maybe I did promise I'd have a shave, but no, jokes aside, it was lovely to meet them as well this week, because we don't often get to meet people, so it's great.
Yeah, I couldn't criticise you for looking scruffy. Look at me. Got me big, I don't know, this is a bit like 1970s shirt with a massive collar and all tie-dyed. Anyway, so, and John Nelson, good morning, John. He's saying good morning, Skatz and Chris and everyone. We finally met John after he's come over from New Zealand. Everybody say hello to John. Finally, he's in Spain via Scotland. And I actually had a jam with him yesterday on the... we played guitar and sang together over at with my jamming friend that I'm in a band with over at the Art Walk in Computer. There's loads of artists displaying all their work all weekend in various different buildings around the village, which is really good. So yeah, finally got to meet him, and he was at the festival too, of course. There we go. So AK Mitchell, that's Anthony and Kerry saying good morning from an autumnal France. Although there's still big wildfires in the Bordeaux area, from which we got a bonfire type Kalima each morning. Oh dear, there's a lot of people suffering. There's been a huge one around near Granada as well, which is still burning after about a week. There you go. And Annie Podmore says, morning, John. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, everybody say hello to John. There, I'll let you lot chat on there while we get on with it. So we've got out of the dreaded summer visa crush then, with all of the delays because of tourism, holidays and student visas. How's it looking in the 3 Spanish embassies in the UK at the moment?
Oh, it's been a strange year this year. Now we've still got, I think, 4 visas pending from the summer period, shall we say, which generally is Murcia and Malaga immigration. So it's we're sort of starting the conversation backwards, because the consulates send information to immigration. There's a myth that they go to Madrid. It goes to your autonomous community, but actually where you're going to be registering. That's why they're quite strict on the address that you use. Okay. And there's huge delays in Malaga at the moment with the visa coming out. It's the first time we've seen them go over the 90 days. And there is this 90-day, what they call silencio administrativo rule. And there's a government platform where we can ask for more information, send a complaint. And they basically got back to us and said, oh yeah, the law is it can't take more than 90 days, so you can consider it but then when we get to it, we'll approve it, which contradicted itself. So basically just wait. But aside from those, everything else is sort of caught up. We've got visas have been flying out. I mean, the first week of September was just crazy, absolute madness, which then put the appointments this end back, you know, because appointments started coming up in October, and even now in Malaga, the TIE registration appointments are in November now. So that's good. But yeah, they seem to have caught up. The consulates, London, going through them, London's been working well. They've got this online booking system. The only problem we've had with London, or a bit strange, is that they've been randomly allocating the codes. You know, it seems that I think if you are going to be applying to London, and you send your email off, just wait the 10 days to get your code, because we had an abundance of codes come flying in yesterday, and it seems that they do it either once a week or once every 10 days. So we had somebody who applied, and within 4 seconds they had their code. And somebody had been waiting up to nearly 10 days to get their code, and they got it as well. So that seems to be the norm there. And then they are, with the codes that you're receiving, some people are receiving student codes but on lucrative visas.
Oh dear.
Right. It's not really an oh dear, because people getting the non-lucrative visas codes see the appointments available on that calendar. At the moment, there isn't any now for September. They'll open October, but they have opened it. They closed it. They seem to be opening it sporadically. And then the people who are getting the student visas ones are just taking the appointments and turning up, and they're getting attended to. So I'm not too sure if it's the person at the end is making a mistake on which calendar to stick them on, or whatever. But so if you do get a student visa appointment back and you're going for a non-lucrative visa, our experience at the moment is they're still, you know, honouring the appointments. So
yeah, and that's at London.
That's in London. That's in London. So
actually, let me put up this this question, because this will answer Michelle Marshall's question. She's got actually a big long question which is all about the same thing. The first part is, how long could I be waiting now for an appointment? We've been sent a link, but it's showing full for September. Do I have to keep on looking every minute of the day to see if any days become available? All our documents are ready from our solicitor. Please advise. And I said, which consulate are you working through? And that brought up the next part of the question, which is, let's see, question 3. I've got to get these in the right order, otherwise they won't make any sense. Here we go. She said, do I email the embassy or just keep clicking on the calendar link they emailed us? Could you ask others on your show, and if anybody's got any tips, blah, blah, blah. And then the final part of that, if you're following all of this, is 3B. Now, where have I put this? This is the big long one, basically, which says London. That's where they're going from. We sent an email attached to our ACRO certificate. We got an email back to request an appointment, but the September calendar has no slots. They're in the process of purchasing a house in Spain and eager to get over to Spain. All of the documents are ready from a solicitor, and they've got a 3-month window on the documents, which he hopes doesn't run out. So I hope you got all of that. She's basically saying, how long do I wait? How do I get an appointment when it's full? And also, do I just keep on clicking the calendar and try to find an appointment?
Yeah, basically. So that's a great question. The first thing is they've already got their code. So that's fantastic, right? That's the problem, is getting the code. So what was I say before, we've seen it where people have had to wait 10 days to get their code, and then people getting it really, really quickly. So yeah, they've got that code. So she's absolutely right. All you can do is carry on clicking on the calendar and see what comes available. Now, what we've noticed is that they seem to open them up and close them pretty quickly, but not always open it all in one go. So we had people who managed to get the 22nd of September, and then some people had to book the 22nd of October. So I think that comes from the fact that once you book your appointment, 4 days before your appointment, you get an email to confirm the appointment. Now, if you don't confirm that, it automatically becomes available again. Right? So a lot of people are either missing their appointments by not confirming them. One thing just to mention that front as well, anybody who is confirming their appointment, once you get your appointment, so yeah, please keep looking at your link, just see when they come green. That's all you can do. Once you've got your appointment and you get your confirmation email there 4 days before, when you hit that link, you don't really get a notification that that it's been confirmed. This happened to Terry, who's watches the show. And then when you go back to that link and hit it, it says, oh, the link's broken or doesn't exist. But if that happens, it means you've confirmed your appointments, because the link's only going to work once.
Okay.
Okay, so if that makes sense, I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, I hope so. If you've any more questions, Michelle, then do ask. I don't know if you're watching the show live or whether you're going to watch the recording back afterwards. But if you are on the live, then if you have any more questions, then get on that live chat or ask in the comments. Alan Lackenby saying, how long will I have to wait for a new appointment after one of us got rejected?
That's a good question. The email's gone in. Now we're moving on to Edinburgh now, aren't we? So Edinburgh, Alan's been through the mill with his application. He's been with us. And first of all, they closed down a lot of appointments and put people 2 weeks back. And as normally respond within 3 to 4 days, they haven't responded to us yet via email. So the question is, as soon as they respond, we're going to know. I did see on social media that somebody sent in a appointment request for Edinburgh and got it the following week. So it looks like there are appointments up there. It's not the biggest consulate in the world. But yeah, that's the question when they answer the email.
Okay, so that's it. So we've said about London. So these are waiting times, I think. You've said about London. Yeah, what's the sort of average waiting time for both of those?
So at the moment, London is there. We haven't seen any appointments open in November, but definitely October has open, close, and there's been delays coming in September. So it could be anything from the following day to 6 weeks' time. Okay. They've definitely got the October calendar, should we say, open but closed, because they've opened it, filled a load, but it's closed again. But there'll be the cancellations and stuff coming up, and it seems that at times they'll see a day and open, maybe. What we assume is they're going to start passing a lot of the student appointments on to the NLVs, or, as I said, they're handing out the student codes. The student codes have got loads of appointments. So, the NLVs in London are always ran early in the morning, and the student appointments are always after 10 o'clock. So that's how that's working at the moment. As I say, Edinburgh, they seem to be okay. They haven't responded to an email I sent last week, but they are kicking out the appointments, and I've seen on social media people getting them. And Manchester, well, Manchester is a story of its own now, because Manchester, who were historically always pretty good at giving out appointments in the correct dates that we wanted, but again, I think Manchester has gone through what London went through last year, where a lot of people who work in our industry, they'll send an email. If they don't get a response in a day, they'll send another one, they'll send another one, they'll send another one, and next thing you know, it's just blocking up the system. So we started to get our clients, we type the text and the format for the email, and then we send it to our clients and say, you send it from your email, because they've stopped sending to companies as well. That seemed to work, so that was good, and they've still been honouring the appointments. But lately, the last 3 weeks, they've been taking so long to get to people, and then this week, for people who have been applying, we've had 3 different automated responses. Okay, and it looks like they're updating their booking system to something very similar to London's. So when you get this automated response, it basically says you're going to get your code to log in and everything like that, but their official website hasn't been updated yet. So they're sort of in this transition period. A client of ours actually went in on Monday, who's waiting for an appointment to be issued, and he asked, and they said, no, it'll all be live Wednesday. It wasn't. And then we were literally yesterday deciphering what the automated message meant, because we're not too sure if they want to see all the documents when you send a request in, or just the acros like London. And out of nowhere, I sat there making the template, right, we're going to start telling people that they might have to scan all their documents, because that's how we're sort of understanding the automated response, but they haven't given us the exact information or published anything yet. And suddenly a load of appointments came in from old emails we'd sent. So moving forward with Manchester, I think that all you can do at the time when you're booking your appointment is take the information from the consulate website of how they're advising you to do it right now, which is at the moment just send an email with various details on it. I would put a copy of your ACRO as well on that email, whether they currently want it or not. They're evidently moving into that sort of direction, so why not? You're going to have it anyway.
So Paul Johnson, will come to your question in a moment. Did we answer Alan's query? How long to wait for a new appointment after one of us got rejected?
Again, I don't know if it's when they respond. I mean, normally they are responding within a week, so that's not too bad.
Okay. And this is a question I was going to ask you later, but let's get on with it. Paul's asking, he's applying in London, by the way. Is it possible not to leave my passport with the embassy, as I will be caring for my elderly mother in Spain and will need to get back as soon as possible? So this is all about, can you travel while your appointment is in progress?
Okay, so there's two lines on this. This is what we always tell our clients as well. We've got the official line of what the consulates have told us, is that now all three consulates want you to take the self-addressed envelope, leave your passport there, and they will return your passport to you using the self-addressed envelope, which you don't have to address to the address that you use for the application. It can be a correspondence address. Okay, that's the official line. That's what we have to tell everybody. And I always say to people, I won't go on the internet and say this, but here I am. There are people who have managed to get their passports back. So as somebody advising somebody, I have to tell them, look, as far as I'm concerned, what they've told us, if you've got to take a self-addressed envelope with you, and that's how they want to process it. But we have had various cases. In Edinburgh was one where there was a minor involved. They needed to start school and the processing time didn't work, so they managed to get their passports back. Manchester have actually handed people passports back who are still waiting for visas, and yesterday we had one of those cases in London as well. Where,
I've heard of one or two of those, just hearsay, but people saying I didn't have to leave my passport with them at all.
I'd say that if you're as I say, they officially want you not to, but if you have got any reasons why you can't, again, it's very dependent on who you get on the desk. There's one of the people who's in Edinburgh at the moment, which is, I think you scare me to ask me for the passport back at the moment, but in London they seem to be very reasonable with it. In fact, London digging out people's passports who have been waiting for visas for a long time and saying, look, confirming. We had one yesterday who's been waiting now over the 90 days. They went back to London. London confirmed, look, it's not been lost. It's not a problem. It's just Malaga immigration is stacked up. It's taken a long time for things to come out. And they're giving their passports back so they could come to Spain and start organising their life before the visas got issued.
Brilliant. Sarah Bolt says, morning, bit late to the show. Hope I've not missed too much. Only a little bit, Sarah, but you can always watch the video back afterwards and grab the start of it. Let's see. Let's get rid of Paul's message from there. Oh, Jason. Oh, morning, Jason. Does a visa consulate offer all the same services and visa applications and advice as a main consulate?
Yeah, what do you mean by it? So yeah, the visas, so there's certain consulates that operate certain functions basically. So yeah, but what you have to do is look on the consulate website to see what they offer. So not all of them are the same. The first thing, if we get one from around the world come in and they want a non-lucrative visa, the first thing we have to do is jump on, do the research and find out where and when they can actually do it.
But from the UK, basically the visa ones, there's the three consulates, Manchester, Edinburgh,
London. From the UK, you've only got the people who issue visas are Manchester, Edinburgh and London.
Yeah, and there are loads of consulates around the UK, but those are the three to concentrate on. That's
right, yeah. And you have to go within, they call it demarcación, which is you have to go to the consulate that corresponds to you. So like some people, like if you're in really South Lincolnshire, for example, and it's just a run down the A1 to get to London, but you got to go across to get to Manchester, you've still got to go to Manchester.
Yeah, so, and I found that the best place to find where to go is actually on Chris's website, upsticks.es, because you've got the map which shows all of the counties that apply to everywhere on there. That's where I always go when somebody asks the question. So upsticks.es, and look at well, you'll find it on there. Look at the list on the right, which has all of the things that you need. Yeah, lovely. Okay, so
or you come to the office, because I have it all printed out at A3 on the wall there behind us.
Aha, there it is. That's the best thing. Everybody should go to your office.
That's what we do. You can have a look on the wall, because we have obviously you can't always remember all of it, can you? So, and I spend a lot of time on the phone and stuff, and so I was like, right, I'm going to get these printed out, and they're going in frames on the wall. So I nearly know them off by heart.
Yeah, absolutely. I should know them by now. It's kind of fairly obvious, because it's yeah. I mean, if you're down the sort of the bottom end of the country and it goes down into Cornwall and Devon and all those, that's all London. But anyway, yeah, it's easy to find the map. We've got JP who says, morning, great shows. He's from the Ukraine. Due to the war, got displaced person with permission to work TIE card with NIE for 2 years. I have a British passport. Can I move to an Autonomo without a visa? Oh yes, that's
I believe you're displaced and got the and came to Spain and got your residency there, and it gives you the right to work as a Ukrainian displaced person. So yeah, you should be able to go Autonomo.
There you go. It's not necessarily easy to do that, but yeah, good luck with that. That's yeah, we'll be talking about, I'm going to have somebody on the show who's actually got their Autonomo visa, and a few people who've been successful or who are applying, and there's a lawyer that I'm going to speak to who's made a successful application. So I'll update everyone on the date of that show. We're just trying to organise when that's going to be. I'll be speaking to her on Monday. So there we go. There's no more questions on there. So we've got appointment waiting times. How long in advance of your proposed travel date should you apply for an appointment? That's a difficult one, isn't it? This timing is crucial.
It is. I mean, I think what this summer has done is highlighted the fact that, I mean, up to once we got out of the strike period, which was our first thing this year, and now we've got the backlog in immigration. The turnaround time was around a month. For the visas, you could pretty much guarantee you get it back in a month, but that completely fell to bits in the summer. So it goes back to what we were saying on the previous show about they do have 90 days to respond. Now, for the first time ever, we've seen them which have gone over the 90 days, except we had one that went into London for Tenerife. I think it was around the 8th or 9th of August, and by the 17th, the visa was approved.
Wow.
So I think the first thing you need to look at is, evidently you've got to be prepared that it goes to the 90 days. Okay, so that means, unfortunately, having maybe a foot in both countries, which is extremely hard. I understand that. It's so hard when people are trying to set themselves up. And also look at the people. If you're looking at social media, evidently people refer to social media for information. It's normal. But instead of sort of looking at people's personal circumstance, maybe look where they're applying, and you'll find that there's a pattern normally. So if you're applying, for example, in Malaga, at the moment, Malaga's got massive delays on all fronts, not just the visas. We've got EU family members, which have now gone to the 90-day period we're still waiting for to come out. So, if you're coming to a popular area, you might find that your visa is going to take a lot longer to be issued. And
how can you find out which area is going to take the longest? Is there a place to look?
Not really. Just got to look at, that's what we always keep abreast of, trying to see what's happening in areas. But we find there's a pattern with people of like Alicante. Suddenly we had a deluge of Alicantes come out after summer straight away. It's like one after the other. So they've obviously slightly caught up. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride. You have to keep on top of it all the time. But if you are looking and people say, I've got my visa in 2 weeks, you're talking to people and asking, well, where did you get it from? And that's really useful information for other people who are applying.
Interesting one here. Annie Podmore says, is that 90 calendar days or 90 working days? Always
90
calendar days.
Calendar days, yeah.
Alan Lackenby says, I'm now worried that even if I get an appointment 1 or 2 weeks' time, all relevant documents are out of date? Yeah, that's another question I was going to ask. What happens if your documents are out of date?
Yeah, if it's again, I didn't speak to Alan about this yesterday, but if it's something to do with them, like when they put Alan's initial application back, they said it doesn't matter if your documents come out of date, go out of date, because it's our problem, because we've moved your appointment back. Yeah. Now, if you're applying for the first time, Alan's already been. So when we made the application, we said, look, this is a second time, and you've only asked for one document, so we will present it everything exactly the same. We're still waiting for a response from them to see if they'll accept that. But if you are applying for the first time, you've got to make sure that, especially in Manchester and London, will see, but you've got to make sure your documents are in date when you go to the appointment. So as soon as you've got them, really you want to be looking. With London, it's not really too much of a problem, because London, you can get your ACRO straight away, then apply for your code and work it out from there. Manchester have been very good at accepting documents which are out of date because of the appointments that they've given. So if you send a request to Manchester and you request a specific date, I'd always put this specific date on there. If they give you afterwards and your documents have expired, I have to say they've been very good at accepting those, because they assume the responsibility.
And did you mention about Edinburgh for Alan?
Yeah, so Edinburgh, if they've moved the appointment, then they assume the responsibility. If it's your first appointment, then no. In Alan's case, we've actually had to request that they'll accept the documents, because they've already asked him to book a second appointment for his wife. And again, we're waiting for that response.
Okay, so we don't quite know, but we will. We can have a report back on that next time. So should we move to sort of visa processing times? How long after you've had the appointment will you get the visa?
Yeah, as I say, anything up to 3 months at the moment. It's been like this is the period. October normally, end of September, October, November, up to the beginning of December is normally a very good period for the visas. They normally come out pretty quickly. They get rid of the summer backlog, and that's fine. Then evidently we have Christmas, which really in Spain starts on the 6th of December, doesn't it, with a bank holiday week? Yep. And then ends on the 10th of January with the Kings. So you know that period is always a lot slower. Though I have to say, it's not like summer where everybody goes on holiday. You know, everybody works here until the 24th midday. I think this year it works on a weekend, but normally up to Noche Buena, always up to midday, and then the period after Christmas, most people are back at work after Boxing Day, so there shouldn't incur too many delays, but evidently it does over Christmas. And
that's just because as if the workers are on holiday and the days that the offices are shut. There's nothing else that goes on there because there's not students applying, and there's not anything in particular that's going on.
No, not really. There's nothing there that would. It's more because of people going on holiday. I mean, we always find that in general with administration, if you see that 6th and the 8th bank holiday, there's always delays along there. And this year, the 6th and the 8th fall on a Tuesday and a Thursday. So no doubt most people are going to try and take the Monday, Wednesday and Friday off and just have the full 10 days off, So that will may cause a bit of a delay. Yeah,
certainly the Monday. That'll be a bridge day, won't it? Puente.
Yeah, but funny enough, something else I found out the other day, and I didn't know this, that in certain convenios, if you do that and try and plug 3 days holiday in between your bank holidays, they take the bank holidays as part of your holiday, so it's not actually worth doing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Apparently in the teachers convenio it's like that. I found out from my wife. So there you go. So if you are working in Spain, you're looking to get those days off, make sure you check your convenio very well so you don't lose the bank holiday.
Good advice. Oh, Katie Sydney says, morning, Skatz and Chris from sunny beach in Altea. Whereabouts is Altea? I should know that.
That's up in Alicante, in the north of Alicante, south of Valencia.
Very nice. It's good. It's nice and sunny around here as well. We're on the south coast, so nearly up in the mountains. How's it with you, Chris? Is it the same down in Malaga area?
Gorgeous, really nice. Still in the pool at the moment, so it's a bit chillier now, but we haven't closed it down yet, so that's all right.
Yeah, this was the first day when I had a shower and there was condensation in the bathroom for post summer. That's the first time I've noticed that. There you go. So yeah, it's definitely cooling down. And I was sitting with John Nelson and his wife Patsy in the cafe outside here in Computer, and he was saying, "So what's the heat like?" And I said, "Well, it's not hot now." And he was saying, "Well, this isn't hot." And no, it's an awful lot hotter in July and August. Even just sitting down in a lovely square there. So there you go. Yeah, I had a question. How do you monitor the progress of your visa once you've applied and you're waiting for it?
There's a couple of ways you can do it. Normally, when you get your visa, they should give you what's called an ESP code. So they give you a code, a receipt, and that receipt has a code on it. And then there's a government website which is called Mi Trámite Consular, and you can put that in and check the process. And it normally either says en trámite, which means it's being worked on, or resuelto, which is resuelto, it's been resolved, being approved. So that's the first way you do that. One thing to mention on that, actually, a question that I had the other day was why is the date on the entrance into, should we say, the entrance into immigration when they open my file different to my consulate date? It's because when you go to the consulate, they initially pre-approve the documentation. If they see anything there that's not valid, they're not going to accept it. Once they have accepted it, then they upload it onto the system, and then immigration then send it live. So they'll give you the initial file number, but that might not come live for a couple of days. That's why if you had your appointment on the 1st, you might not find it comes live, up till 10 days is as long as we've seen it take to go live. And that's where you want to look at your 90 days from that 10-day period. When it goes live, sorry. So that's the first way. Get the receipt from them, track it using your code. The second way, if you've got an NIE number, there's actually a government platform in Spain. It's the same platform that they use where we get access to Mercurio, which is where to make applications on there. And there's even a text message service as well, where you can text NIE, your NIE number, and it will come back with the same status report as the other two.
That's handy. Tell you what, after the broadcast, send me all these links, the Tramite link and everything, and I'll put them underneath the video. Yeah, I'll ask you. I've made a note for myself down here.
Remind me. I'm looking down here, and the
will do.
Text code only works for Spanish mobiles. That's the only thing.
Okay. Oh, JP's saying, do you need Padron for Autonomo?
Yes, you're going to need a Padron for Autonomo. Your gestor will ask you for a Padron for Autonomo. In terms of the document, first of all, as we know, we've spoken about before, I would definitely advise that you get a good gestor to do your Autonomo. Don't try and do it yourself. And yeah, they're going to want to know. They're going to have proof of address, and that is your Padron. If you're going Autonomo, there should be no reason why you haven't got a Padron anyway.
Yes, good stuff. And Gary Ash says, talking about dates in documents, are there limitations on dates on all documents, or am I able to start preparing them months in advance? Some of them aren't limited by date, are they? It's only the ones that you get apostilled and translated, isn't it?
The marriage certificates, your medical certificates, and your ACROs are all date critical documents, 90 days. Yeah,
and birth certificates if you've got children.
No, well, birth certificates at the moment you don't have. So the marriage certificate, you don't. You need to get a duplicate of the marriage certificate because it has a recent date on it, and this all goes back to here in Spain. You can't get a duplicate of a registration document for a circumstance that doesn't exist. So if you're no longer married, you can't go back and get your marriage certificate. You can only get a divorce certificate as such. That's why they ask for an updated marriage certificate. It makes no sense because in the UK, if you've been married 4 times, you can go and get 4 marriage certificates if you want, and duplicates. But it doesn't work like that in Spain. That's why they have the updated one.
Oh, that explains. Yeah, because a lot of people have said, I don't understand it. Why, how do they know that you've not been divorced?
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's it. So that's how it works in Spain. I explained it to them here. We were explaining it for years, and they're just like, look, computer says no, that's what you need. So with birth certificates, evidently, if you're going with your child and they're alive and sat next to you, and you've got the original birth certificate translated and apostilled, then you don't need to get an updated one to prove that that child is still there. And at the moment, they are accepting original apostilled and translated birth certificates. It's only if you here in Spain doing some sort of change of name operation or having to prove who you were when you were born and your name's different now that you may have to get an updated one, really.
Good stuff. Thomas Williams says, what's the correct order to apply for documents so you don't run out of time?
Oh, well, I mean, evidently you've got to look at your own timescale. It depends on people's timescale, but the clock starts ticking once you do your time-sensitive documents. But you can't get anywhere without the time-sensitive documents. I.e., you can't book an appointment if you're going to London. So I'd say once you get to that point where you're ready to go, then you start your time-sensitive documents. So your medical certificate, your ACRO, your marriage certificate, and it's a countdown from there. Because the rest of it you can put in place while that's coming.
And which ones do any of them take more time, getting your marriage certificate or your ACRO sorted?
Depending on where you got married, they have to you can apply from online, but where you got married, different areas take different response times, so you've got to leave yourself time for that. Again, the apostille, depending on what you do, so obviously you've got the two rows. We'll give Zach a shout out, our friend to the channel here, who's been on, hasn't he?
His link's down below in the video description, so yeah, he can get them slightly quicker sometimes.
Oh yeah. I mean, the government website at the moment. Before summer it was great. They were coming back quickly, but now at the moment they're just not coming back. And what we have had with using Zach is that he has, when there have been difficult ones, because he's there, he can manage the process. If you send it off to the government, it's just you managing it with them directly. It doesn't always work. So, if it's a simple document, you can send it to the government, but you won't get it back for 20 to 30 days. Or you can use a company; they normally get it back within a week.
There we go. Jason's actually saying, yes, this is something that a lot of people experience. Padron, Hester, Autonomo, it's all very complicated and confusing, not understanding what they are and the order things need to be. I will be employing Chris to sort mine out. Absolutely, yes. We keep saying to each other, don't we, Chris, that we're using these terminologies that we just assume, because we've known what they are for ages, that everybody knows what we're on about. But yeah,
we should do a video then. What we need to do is, I'll keep saying that, it's one of the things why I'm going back to the UK to do a place in the sun. Obviously we want to meet people who are moving in the next 2 or 3 years, because we're a business, that's what we do. So a lot of it is lining up what we're going to be doing for 2 or 3 years. But on my behalf, I've got my head so stuck in Spain. We've been here 23 years and we're using almost bilingual terminology, aren't we? And when you speak to people, I don't understand what it's like for people that end. That's the honest truth. I need to. That's why I've been back a few times to concerts and stuff. I need to get it in my head for when I'm talking to people what the experience is like, because I get on the telephone and speak to somebody and I go, but when you get here, we'll register the Padron. They're like, what the hell's a Padron? And I'm like, we need to be there at that end, working out how we approach that and tell people, and the right time to tell people. Because if someone's looking at getting an ACRO police certificate and they're worried about a Padron, which is 4 or 5 months down the line, it's. But we should do a video about the basics. Really go back to basics.
Yeah. I think it's about time, because we did a video, what is the Padron, and that was like well over a year ago. So yeah, it's about time we did it, because there are people applying now who've not looked back at all of those videos. That and of course they're not easy to find. You have to scroll through all of the videos that I've done to find all of that. So yeah, let's do that. We'll go back to basics. But my advice to anybody watching is ask the question. If you don't know what one of those things is, ask the question and ask for an explanation. And actually, that is a good question. Gary Sansom asked on that. Let's put his question up. He was asking, what's the difference between a TIE and an LV? There you go.
The other way around, the NLV is the non-lucrative visa, which you will get when you apply to reside in Spain as a retiree. And once you've got your visa and you come to register your NLV, the proof that you've registered is your residency card, which is your TIE. That's it, Tarjeta de Identidad Extranjero. So it's NLV is the sticker in your passport which reflects a visa, basically. And the TIE is once you've registered that visa here, you first get a document called a resguardo, and then after the 30 to 45 day period, you'll be handed your TIE.
And your TIE contains your NIE, which is the number, your foreigner's number, and you'll get that actually stamped on your visa, on your passport, won't you?
Yes, that's right. So you'll get your on your visa, and it's again another point. We had 2 visas come out with people who've had previously had NIE numbers. We used the NIE numbers in their application forms. We used the NIE to track it, but we knew there was a problem because the tracking wasn't working properly, and their visas came out with a completely different NIE number. So always check your visa. Always check your visa. Not a problem. There is a government platform which you can send a message and tell them this has happened. And they responded back to us and said, we have now fixed that, come over with the current visa, and then take this email, print it out to the appointment, and they'll get the TIE card with the proper NIE number. But always check that. But yeah, so NLV TIE. Good
explanation. John Bentley asked earlier, is there any advantage in having an NIE number before you submit a non-lucrative visa application?
Mainly for the tracking. So, I mean, a lot of people have NIE numbers because they own properties. In that respect, what we always say, look, take an up-to-date notice simply of your property, which proves you've got an asset with no liabilities in Spain. Now, a lot of people ask, oh, can you use that asset as part of your 27 grand? Well, truth be known, there isn't a scale, but it always helps. It always helps. When I spoke to London, they said, look, if they've got a property, prove they've got a property, because when we're doing the financial assessment, we know that, you know, they're not going to have to spend any rent, for example. So they said it always helps. Any assets in Spain help. So, yeah, but if you have got an NIE beforehand, the only way it really helps is for tracking it, if you want to track the process. So if they don't give you your ESP number or you can't track it using that, it's a backup way of tracking the visa process.
Hello to Bev. She's saying, looking forward to going to Fuengirola next month for a scouting trip to yay or nay the area. There you go. I've not actually spent any time in Fuengirola, but Hestor's moved there, hasn't he, just recently?
Oh, you found out before me. You phoned me up.
Yeah.
Said, cheers, mate. He's been my mate for 16 years. I said, he's phoned me up. I said, what you do? So I need to tell you something. I've moved next to you. So I actually said to him that to come up and use the office, because obviously he's got a big office up in Granada, but to come down here if he needs to. But yeah, Fuengirola is fantastic. It depends what you're looking for. But Fuengirola is it's a melting pot of people and nationalities, and you know the restaurants. And I'm being a foodie, you know, the places like that. But Fuengirola is it's a diversity there in Fuengirola. It's fantastic. It's really good.
Has it got the super rich people there with the yachts as well, or is that down the road in?
Not really, no. That'd be more. You've got your sort of Fuengirola port, and then probably if you went to Benalmádena, there would be more bigger boats there, and then you'd go down to Puerto Banús and Marbella. That's where you'd get probably your super rich. Very reasonable in Fuengirola to eat. You know, they've got there's a fantastic Lebanese restaurant we found there, which is it's nice. There was sushi place. I'm going through the list now, but you know, sometimes it's quite hard here to find something a bit different, isn't it? You know, so, and you can in Fuengirola, you can certainly get fish and chips if you want, but
yeah. Where was that place you went to? Was it last night you had the barbecue thing, or did you do that yourself?
That was me.
That was you. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Right, everybody down to your house then.
I get really obsessed with barbecue. I love barbecue. So we literally Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and probably once a week on the barbecue.
Fabulous. We barbecue every day, so we even do kind of roast dinners on the barbecue and everything. We've got the one with the big lid, and so you can do whatever you want. Let's see other questions. Thomas Williams says, when are you doing your chat about S1 and healthcare? I'm just gathering information and people to come on that show, so hopefully before the end of October, but it might be November before that one happens. He says also, what is the total cost of a couple applying? I'm hoping to use Chris to apply, just need all relevant info.
Yeah, so we can obviously contact us and we'll go through it. So we charge our fee for both stage 1 and 2, which is being registered here in Spain as well. We charge €595, which includes VAT and the registration tax in Spain. It doesn't include the apostilles and the documents you have to order. Then your consulate cost is £525. If it's a couple, I'd normally say between about 150 on top of that for paperwork. So we say around 1,200 per person if you're using somebody for the first application.
There you go then. And Annie says, Annie Podmore, I have pendiente de tramite on mine on the visa application. Is that the step before en tramitación?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, normally, yes, it would be pending. Now, that because the different immigration offices word things slightly different, you're going to see, I'd love to know where you were applying. Let me know. Okay, so pendiente de trámite, the pendiente en trámite, I would actually understand as it's in trámite, right? So it's pendiente stroke in trámite. So I think that would be in trámite. I don't think that's before. Right, that's how. But I'd love to know where you're applying because I haven't seen that message. We have seen, so we get resolución favorable, which is favourable resolution, and a lot of people only get resuelto, which doesn't even say whether it's. And then they'll get an email from the consulate saying your visa has been resolved. And they're like, well, what's been resolved? You know, and that always means approved. You know, so it's quite hard to get the. I reckon that's in tramite what she's got there.
Okay. I applied in London, 25th of July, she says.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Let me know where you're going.
Yeah. Which part of Spain? Which autonomous community? While we're waiting for her answer for that, Andy Cooper says, once you become resident in Spain and the time comes around when your passport runs out, I'm presuming UK passport, how do you renew it? Is the process different?
Yeah, well, it's obviously completely different to your visa application because that's done with the UK government. But the online platform for the UK government is fantastic. Really good. Slightly more expensive than getting a Spanish one. I mean, I think it was the last one that I've always renewed from here. Never been back to renew my passport, and it's got improved. I remember the first time I did it, 2003, 2004, it was like printing off reels of paperwork and filling it in and posting stuff off. And now everything, including the photos, done online. We recently did one. My daughter's was the most recent renewal because kids only get 5 years. So it's a bit cheeky because they charge you the same. But we had to do hers, and that was the first one we did with a digital photo. And it actually came back because they have a gradient on the UK government website as how good the photo is, and I was bordering like red orange. But it was the best one we could get, so I said I'll just send it in, you know. And then you UPS the passport in, and or you could actually register post the passport once you've completed the payment with the documents, print them out, leave them in. They don't actually have to print them out anymore. Then they not UPS, what's the other one they use? DHL it back to you. And then you'll get your old passport back in a different DHL. There
you go. Yeah, we'd actually made a video about that with you live outside the passport office, didn't we? It was a few months ago.
Yeah, I was in Peterborough.
You were. So Annie Podmore says Mijas, that's where she's moving to.
Mijas, Malaga then. Yeah, there's quite a lot of delays in Malaga. That means that, you're definitely in tramite, I would say, but there's quite a lot of delays here in Malaga at the moment. There has been, I read the article on Idealista, which was then another expat popular paper picked up on it and did their own spin. There has been an extra 330 odd members of staff across Spain that have been assigned for the backlog in immigration. So we're hoping that helps. That
is good news. Question from John Bentley. When applying for an NLV as a married couple, does my wife require her own bank account showing her EPRIM amount, or will they accept a joint account with the full amount?
They accept a joint account with a full amount, but there is something to say on that. Now, we haven't had any problems with the joint accounts with a full amount in Edinburgh and Manchester or London. So that's been absolutely fine. But one thing for people who are going as a married couple and have, should we say, savings or passive income, which heavily weigh on the side of one person in the relationship. Twice now from London, they've made them do notarized declarations that they will look after their spouse when they get to Spain.
Well,
so we saw it once last year where somebody was heavily dependent on somebody else, albeit they've been married for like 15 years and they've got the marriage certificate, and legally they would have access to those funds, but they wanted extra proof of that. So that's something to look at. It was a little bit, it's not something they mention on their official guidance, and it's something that once you go to your appointment, if they request it, they give you 10 days to do.
Wow. I bet somebody's come through and there's been a problem at some point, and then one member of staff has gone, we'd better check this in future just in case.
Yeah, it could be. So we saw it last year, and then this year twice now, where there was a statement for a joint account which only had the husband's name on it, and also an account certificate which had both names on it, which related to the account. And they weren't having it. They said, we either want a notarized declaration or we want to see the statements with both names. So basically, we've got the statements with both names, and that solved it. But yeah, so something to look at, but definitely joint accounts fine.
Good stuff. Good question, actually, from Jason. Again, it's something that people don't realise, the difference between residency and citizenship. He says, once you're a Spanish resident, do you class as a Spanish citizen? And do you need a Spanish passport, or do you keep your UK one? So, yes, big difference between resident and citizen. Go for it, Chris.
I know somebody did a really good video on that.
Yeah, me.
I refer back to that video now. So if you're a resident, your national ID document is your passport. You should never let your passport run out, because in theory, if you let your passport run out, then your visa isn't valid. Well, your residency isn't a valid document to use until you've got a passport which is in date. And citizenship is completely different. That's when you're a Spanish citizen. So you'd have to take the relevant tests if you qualify and been here long enough to do so.
Yeah, and that's normally for UK citizens anyway. It's 10 years you've got to be in Spain.
And it doesn't always. I mean, if you do follow the residency processes, like me, people ask me if I decided if I wanted to go for citizenship or not, and I'm like, well, really, I've been a permanent resident and I've been through the residency process, and once you do, obviously you would be European, so that's maybe a big benefit for certain people, but for others, for example, for me, not planning on spending any time in another European country soon, so it would limit my time I could go back and see my family if I had to go back for any amount of time being a Spaniard, wouldn't it? So because I'd lose my British passport, which they don't have a convenio. So as a permanent resident, we live quite happily, I think. Yeah.
I wanted my European one because we lived in Ireland, and I just wanted to be European, and I think Liz actually that's my wife, wants to eventually become European as well. But again, that's going to factor in if we ever want to head back to the UK for a long period of time. It's going to affect her ability to do that. But I don't think she wants to go there for very long anyway. I think she's quite happy to stay in Spain.
Yeah.
There you go. John Bentley's asking, this is a medical insurance question. Has anyone been refused medical insurance for a pre-existing condition?
Yeah, plenty of people have been refused. Some there's you don't get refused at the consulate. I mean, that's something we didn't mention it actually in the timeline. That's something that you need to start. If you think that there's anything that could affect it, then you'd obviously want to check that out before you start spending money on your time-sensitive documents. We sometimes do that with clients who are a bit, maybe let's check that first. And once they say, yeah, we can get a policy for you, then you put that on hold, do your time-sensitive documents, and then start the policy very close to when you go to your appointment. You have to remember, policy must run minimum of 12 months from your appointment date, or the expected entry date into Spain, which is how you take advantage of your policy. So if you're got an appointment on, say, the 17th of September, which I've just looked at the calendar, so I invented that, and you're not expected to be in Spain till the 1st of November, a lot of companies will let you have a certificate from the 1st of November onwards, and you can put that on your application, and that's fine. You can't have it for less than 12 months.
And Annie said that both my husband and I have a pre-existing condition. We got insurance, but it doesn't cover them. It doesn't cover the conditions. So it's still possible to get a medical certificate showing you've got health insurance to get into Spain and get you covered. But you won't necessarily. Go on.
I tell you, this is the adaptation of products from service providers for the visa. So in theory, no, you can't have any exclusions on a policy for a visa or immigration. It's always been the same. And historically, we would have to go in with 400 pages of stuff, people doing residency and go, no, look, it says cinco pagos, it's no exclusions, blah, 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 blah. Nowadays, and it's widely accepted by the consulates and immigration here, all these companies which offer service products like health insurance for immigration will give you a certificate, and that certificate specifically states what immigration want to see, and normally the exclusions are buried on page 452 or something like that. So because immigration only want to see your certificate and the proof of payment of the policy, normally it's not a problem. We haven't come across any problems or any consulates which are going, oh no, we want to have a look at the full policy.
I've heard of one recently. Somebody mentioned it on Facebook. They said they want to see the whole thing, all the documents. So, which is terrible, terrible for them, I think, because I think they've got a pre-existing condition. There's also some policies that have waiting times, which means that even though you've got the policy, they won't let you get treatment for certain things until you've been with the policy for 6 months. So if something happens to you in the first 6 months, then you're going to have to pay through the nose for it privately.
Again, I know the consulate don't like that, but there's some policies which don't mention it on the certificate, which get pushed through. So I think with that you have to put the responsibility onto the broker and tell them what you need and why you need it, and they have to provide you with a policy that works at your appointment.
If anybody knows of a really good broker who deals with lots of different companies, then I'd like to get them on the show, so put them in touch with me, and we'll get a connection there. Lovely. John says, thanks Chris, just waiting to hear from your recommended company. Jolly good. Oh, we've got one more question from Facebook. Let's see, it's Brian Spark again. Hello Brian, I always call him Brain Spark. So he says, this is about the residency under the Withdrawal Agreement. He says, I've heard it said that an applicant who failed to gain residency due to not being on the Padron can now reapply under the Withdrawal Agreement if he or she can prove they were living in Spain pre-2021. Thoughts on this, please?
I mean, it depends on what your circumstances and how it ended when you first applied. I had heard that in Alicante there were some successful appeals, but obviously with any withdrawal agreement application, you'd have to go follow the proper process. So if you've already made a withdrawal agreement application and you got rejected, and that said you had to leave Spain in 15 days and you left Spain, then I very much doubt that you're going to get a withdrawal agreement through now. If you went to appeal, I think this all comes from people that have gone to appeal, and obviously the appeals are now just coming out in the wash, aren't they, these couple of years later. So there would have been people who maybe got rejected, went to appeal, they got the appeal locally was rejected, and then they would have taken it to court, and I think some of those have been won. So I think that relates back to it. Whether you can apply again now, I think it's very doubtful. Very doubtful now. If it's just a case of if you've had one application in and rejected, you would have to have followed the appeal process. If you've never applied, then evidently you're here very illegally anyway. So yeah.
Those are the sort of queries that Rochelle tends to be dealing with a lot.
She's looked after for the past year actually. We took the decision, obviously, that we had to, with withdrawal agreement, to not offer that as a service product anymore. And but Rochelle's picked up with a few people that we've had inquiring with us, and she's done really well. So she's certainly on top of the game with the withdrawal agreements. What's currently happening. with those. So yeah, if she's watching today, I thank her for helping our clients. And you know what? The one thing about Rochelle is with the withdrawal agreement is you'll always get the truth. She'll just tell you straight. This is it.
Yeah. She's very good on the truth. There we go. So any other, I think we've finished talking most about the non-lucrative visas at all the embassies. Any other updates on that you've not mentioned yet?
No, I think that's it. Now, unfortunately, I've got to go. So it's kids' golf lessons again now.
Oh yeah. So any quick last updates?
Winter mode. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's it. I mean, generally, the general updates from the consulates is like they're all working, but there is still this backlog which they're running through, and summer must have been the craziest time for them. You know, because there's, as we've all seen, in every single sector, everybody you talk to everybody's flat out at the moment. I was talking to somebody in our business networking group, and everybody in the group's flat out with people if they're moving. Doesn't matter what sector they're working in, you know, whether it be solar panels, estate agents, visas, you know. So that's reflected across the board in the time, you know. So you just need to be flexible, you know, and it's been quite shocking this summer, but yeah. And then as for this end here in Spain, look, it's working very well, but areas like Alicante are still, you know, massively difficult to get a visa registration appointment there. So, you know, whoever you're working with on that respect, just make sure that they know your timescales and your plans, and you keep them up to date, because they're going to have to, if someone's looking for an appointment for you in Alicante, you literally have to be like the London people, hitting the link every 5 minutes. That's how you get an appointment in Alicante. So Malaga's not too bad. Murcia is very good at the moment. When you come over Murcia, you can get appointments pretty well. Malaga, they're running late, but we have an abundance of places that we can go, and you quite often pick up cancellations as well. Places like Lanzarote are quite difficult to get appointments, but if you know when they open, then you're fine. That's my secret, though. It took me ages to find that out. And Cadiz, which is another area that we operate in, is fine. That's you know, they're absolutely fine. So yeah.
Good stuff. All right, then it's nearly time to tell you all what's happening next week. But first, let's give Chris a big virtual hug and a thank you for being marvellous and helpful, and wave him goodbye. Now, you're away in 2 weeks' time, so it's going to be 3 weeks before we see you again, isn't it? Once you're back from all the exhibitions. Yeah,
I'll be free, unfortunately, because this Saturday morning I'm at the Caravans in the Sun show at 10. So I'd love to do the live from there, but I don't really know the demographic yet, and it's going to be it will probably be difficult to do it, to be honest. But we'll do it the next time. I'll give you a full report.
Fair enough. Yeah, brilliant. We'll have a full report in 3 weeks' time, and also we'll try and explain some terminologies for Jason. Padron, Histora, Autonomo, blah blah blah. I might do a separate new video about that as well. So there we go. Let's let you go and take your kids to the golf and give them away from me.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me on again.
All right, you're very welcome. Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay, excellent, lovely chat once again, and thanks, Chris, for taking the time on a very regular basis. Next week on our Cozy Family Settee, we've got a surprise guest. Ha ha ha! It'll be a surprise to me because not completely confirmed yet. So I've got a couple of people lined up for that. I'm just waiting to see which one is coming on first. I'm going to be dropping hints on our Facebook page all week once that is all lined up. So join that now. Yes, join the Facebook page or the Facebook group or both. You'll get lots of information on there and lots of fun too. Thanks everybody on the live chat. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click on the notifications bell. It's down here somewhere, and you'll be the first to know what's coming up every week. Finally, make sure you tune into the Virtual Cafe of Cash on Mondays. Actually, this Monday, no Virtual Cafe of Cash. I'm not doing the live show on Monday because for those of you in the UK, you're going to have your head full of the Queen's funeral. So I'm taking a break on that day. So, but anyway, normally that's at midday if you're in the UK, 1 p.m. if you're in Spain. On Wednesdays at about 5 p.m. or sometimes later, Spanish time. you'll either see a new video each week, or I'll do what I did this week and have a live guest. I might start having live guests on Wednesdays as well, because that worked really, really well. So if I don't see you for any of that, I'll see you next Saturday at our regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain already. And thanks again to Steve, Bev, Jason, John, Anthony and Kerry, Annie, and everybody else who's taken the time to chat live. And my lovely wife Liz says hi. You can join her for free virtual yoga and meditation on her YouTube channel, YouTooYoga. The link again is below in the video description. So that's all for this week. Somebody rake up those palm leaves and pour me a coconut juice. It's time to head into the virtual Spanish pool. It's just warm enough for a dip today. We've got a pool that's got trees covering over for some shade, and for half of the day, so it's not keeping as warm as a lot of people's pools that are just completely open to the environment, and they're still going for good swims anyway. That's the pool report for today. Peace and love, everybody, and it's time for the cosmic dance to say goodbye. Bye for now.